This presentation discusses the future of search and rescue in terms of unmanned systems usage, discusses the idea of a system called Future, which is a group of 4 different unmanned vehicles, 2 aerial and 2 ground vehicles. Given 2 hypothetical situations, the need for more advanced search and rescue operations is introduced. Then, by discussing the background of search and rescue operations in various national parks and various ski and snowboard mountains, the need for these advanced operations for applying unmanned systems combined with the tracking beacon is discussed. The paper then introduces some examples of specific drones that could be used to complete the desired tasks and what topics need more research to make the ideas of the future system a reality. According to a study performed by Travis W. Heggie and Michael E. Amundsen from 1992 to 2007, there were over 65,400 search and rescue operations in United States national parks. These operations resulted in approximately 2,600 fatalities and 24,000 injuries. The average cost per operation is $895. Over this 15-year period, approximately $59 million was spent on these operations. Imagine if there was a group of unmanned systems that could potentially decrease the cost of these operations, in turn saving not only money, but lives. Place yourself in Yellowstone National Park. You arrive early in the morning with plans to explore the park all day. You are very well prepared to have planned out your entire trip and packed food and water to last you the duration of your adventure. Shortly after arriving, you hit the trails. After a couple of hours of hiking with a big group led by a tour guide, you decide to venture off the beaten trail in hopes of experiencing parts of the park that not many people have explored before. While you were very well prepared, you did not do any research on the weather or any other aspects of the park. A couple of hours after going off the beaten trail, you stumble upon some dangerous terrain and end up falling down a steep hill, landing on the edge of a cliff, unable to walk due to injuries you sustained from the fall. You pull your phone to call for help. Unfortunately, you do not have any service and your battery is almost dead. Now what? Next, place yourself on the slopes of Corbett's Couloir in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, voted the most challenging snowboarding run in the United States. This is the first time you have attempted such a challenging run, but you feel you are ready for it. You step off the lift, strap your board on, and hit the slopes. About halfway down the run, while coming around a bend in the trail, you misjudge the angle of the bend and launch over the boundary rope. Being that you were one of the last ones to hit the slopes that day, there was no one behind you to see you go off the trail. Darkness is quickly approaching and your phone is dead, leaving you stranded without any way to call for help. In both situations, an unprepared adventurer ends up in an unpredictable situation. This is where the autonomous search and rescue unit comes into play. Before you hit the trail, you obtain a beacon that is being tracked via a global positioning system. Even though your phone does not have service, throughout the duration of your adventure, the beacon was being tracked by flying drones that have been mapping your route and keeping track of your location. You grab the beacon from your backpack and push the SOS button, alerting a standby search and rescue team that something has happened. Moments later, one of the drones that has been tracking your every move flies overhead, gathering information via camera, and sends live video footage back to headquarters. This is so the search and rescue team knows what kind of situation they are dealing with. Unmanned systems technology is incredible and can be used for so many different applications. The 2 situations previously mentioned, the uses of unmanned systems drastically reduce the cost of performing search and rescue ops. This could also greatly decrease the time it takes for a stranded adventurer to be found, in turn potentially saving lives. A Google search titled "Recent Search and Rescue Deaths" yields very sorrowful results. For example, missing hiker found dead or body found, to name a few. There are many cases where individuals find themselves in unfortunate situations resulting in death. Now we will examine a couple instances where woods while on a hike is an extremely easy thing to do even for the most experienced hikers. After a week of intense search and rescue operations, search and rescue attempts, Mitzi Sue Susan Clements' bodies was discovered. Clements was hiking near Klingman's Dome in the Smoky Mountains with her daughter. Clements' daughter decided to take a separate trail back to meet up with her mother at the parking lot. Upon returning to the parking lot, Clements' daughter said her mother never emerged. Clements was considered to be an experienced hiker. Her and her daughter often split paths so that her daughter could get more miles in. Another example of where a search and rescue unmanned system would be beneficial is in Mount Rainier. In June of 2018, Otto Steffen was hiking a popular trail on Mount Rainier. His body was discovered with signs that he had sufficient time to call for help, but due to limited cell phone service, he was unable to and did not survive. In the first example involving Clements, drones were utilized in attempts to find her, but they were not helpful. If she had some sort of beacon alerting the drone of her location from the first step she took, she would have been found. Same goes for Mr. Steffen. Situation described in Wyoming with the snowboarder who misjudged a trail and found himself lost is another common occurrence. A Tahoe blizzard claimed the life of a 42-year-old missing snowboarder after he was reported missing to the county sheriff's department. Search and rescue officials used sensors in the man's snowsuit to locate him, but unfortunately it was too late. In March of 2018, the body of a 42-year-old Wenu Zhang was found. Searchers attempted to locate Zhang, but had to suspend the search due to avalanche conditions. His body was discovered the next day around 10 a.m. A skier from Connecticut, Timothy Dan, went off trail and ended up stranded outside overnight. Dan was unable to walk his way to safety due to a medical condition and had to spend the night in the snow due to bad weather conditions preventing a helicopter from performing an air rescue. Fortunately, Dan was able to eventually be evacuated. However, the usage of unmanned systems paired with a tracking beacon could have prevented the situation from happening. Search and rescue missions have recently been aided by the use of drones. While drones have helped improve the positive outcomes of these missions, there is always room for improvement. In most cases where the individual could not be found, it is simply because they could not be seen. Pairing unmanned aerial vehicles with thermal sensors could help locate the bodies of lost hikers or snowboarders. What if there was a system that was more proactive, a system that incorporates the technologies of current unmanned systems, combined with sensors and other search and rescue technologies that could be the solution to many search and rescue problems we face today? As discussed above, search and rescue operations are not harm-free tasks. People put their lives on the line in order to potentially save someone's life. What if there is a group of unmanned systems that could potentially eradicate the chances of someone being put in harm's way while on search and rescue missions, or better yet, prevent search and rescue missions from being needed? Introducing Future, the autonomous search and rescue platform, the future of SAR. Ultimately, Future is a group of unmanned systems paired with various sensors and tracking devices that could lessen the amount of search and rescue situations. Adventurers would start their excursions by obtaining a small beacon that could be attached to their backpack or snowsuit. The beacon would be used to track the location of the adventurers during the course of their adventure. Let's start our journey in the sky. A group of unmanned aerial vehicles, or UAVs, would fly predetermined routes, actively tracking the activity of personnel in the area. Intel of adventurers' locations would be sent back to a computer system that would determine if someone has been in one spot for too long or if someone has gone off trail into a dangerous area. The UAVs would be equipped with thermal sensors, which would help determine if someone was in danger. For example, in snowy terrains, the UAV could first detect that someone had been in one place for too long. It could then detect whether or not a person's body temperature is decreasing. Another benefit of thermal sensors would be to make it easier for the UAVs to detect people who might blend in with the surrounding area. The specific types of platforms will be discussed later in this presentation. Next, we have unmanned ground vehicles that would be used to determine the status of dangerous areas and extract people in danger. They would patrol certain areas and alert someone when something is out of the ordinary. Or whether that be someone who is somewhere that they shouldn't be, or something in the area that could pose a threat to someone. The UGVs could also be equipped with supplies that would be delivered to people in need if they are unable to be extracted by search and rescue personnel while awaiting assistance from alternate sources. Another application of UGVs would be to map unknown areas and track changes in the terrain that could create dangerous situations. In steep mountainous climates, UAVs might not be able to fly, therefore UGVs could be used to scout the location of someone and again deliver supplies until the weather subsided and the person was able to get to safety. Now, let's talk about the beacon. To increase tracking efficiency and accuracy, adventurers would obtain a little beacon/tracking device that would be connected to drones via Bluetooth. A current example of how the beacon would work and look is called Tile. Tile is a lost and found system typically used to find lost keys or lost phones. Users attach the device to the item they do not want to lose, and in an event it goes missing, the user simply pushes a button on a cell phone app, and the tile rings and makes a noise to help locate it. If the item is out of range, a cell phone app can be used to track the item. National parks and ski resorts would provide these beacons to their patrons and use the software combined with the unmanned platforms described above to track adventurers. A difference between the tile and the beacon used in future is that the users would not need to download a cell phone application to utilize the beacon. Therefore, if their phone was dead, it would not be a problem. Software would be implemented into the unmanned aerial and ground vehicles. On the flip side, users could download an application if they wanted to. The app would include maps of trails, locations of authorities, and medical services if needed. It would also allow persons in need to track how long it will be until help arrives, whether it be supplies to survive or extraction operations. The unmanned systems that would be used are very important. Careful consideration must be taken into account so that a positive outcome is maximized and the number of drones needed is minimized, in turn lowering the cost of increasing productivity. For future, Drone America's Aerial is the best choice for the drones that will operate in the sky. Aerial is a fully amphibious UAS that is designed to withstand larger payloads. With the ability to take off and land in almost any terrain, Aerial is a great option for future. Aerial is equipped with power thermal imaging sensors, making it a great option for search and rescue operations. Another huge advantage is that it can carry a large payload. This is perfect for dropping survival supplies to victims. Being that Aerial is a decent size, it's not practical to operate 24/7 and constantly track adventurers. For this reason, Drone America's NavX would also be used. NavX is capable of flying in high altitudes in up to 25 miles per hour winds. It is capable of multiple payloads, making it possible to be equipped with sensors needed for the mission. The downside of using this drone is that it is not autonomous. It is controlled by a laptop or tablet. When utilized with the future system, it would be implemented with special software that would allow it to fly predetermined paths. What happens if the winds are too high or the UAVs cannot fly? This is where the unmanned ground vehicles aspect of the future system comes into play. Like the UAVs, a team of 2 different drones will be utilized, one for extraction operations and one for normal intel operations that include mapping of undiscovered areas and potential tracking missions. A larger UAV that will be utilized with the future system is called the Titan UGV, utilized now by the U.S. Army. The Titan was designed to save lives and operate in combat zones. Like most UGVs, the Titan can be fitted with multiple payloads depending on the mission at hand. It is an open infrastructure allowing for the changing of payloads. Given that the Titan has a maximum carrying payload of 1,500 pounds, it is perfect for evacuation or extraction missions as well as delivering survival equipment to people. A smaller drone produced by ClearPath Robotics called Jackal would be utilized by the future system for mapping activities and exploration of unknown areas. Again, like most UGVs, Jackal is capable of supporting multiple payloads. It is also all-terrain and weatherproof, important when performing search and rescue operations in national parks and ski resorts. One of each drone is not enough. The number of drones... There's Titan and Jackal. My bad, I forgot to switch the slide. One of each drone is not enough. The number of drones being used depends on the size of the area that is being tracked. Currently, the drones used for the continuous surveillance of the area do not have long flight time. Therefore, the number of drones will need to be doubled or tripled so that 2 drones can be charging while the other one is covering its assigned sector. Currently, I would say that 1 drone, like the NavX, could cover a football-sized field area. Therefore, 3 drones per football-sized area. Larger unmanned systems Larger unmanned aerial vehicles could be used on a case-by-case basis or for routine roves. I would suggest 2 of these drones per park/resort to be stored. Same with the larger and smaller unmanned ground vehicles. Again, this depends on the area being covered. The biggest roadblock, like I mentioned before, for unmanned aerial vehicles for this application seems to be flight time of the drones. In order for the future system to be effective, 24/7 coverage of an area is important. This is where future research strategies will come into play. Research done to discover alternate, longer-lasting power sources for this application could not only improve the outcome of drones for search and rescue prevention, but it could potentially open the doors for other applications for unmanned systems that are not practical due to short battery lives. Another aspect that would need further research would be how to make the complete and system autonomous. With the drones utilized above, there's still a human element that would need to be present to control and dispatch the needed drones. Future operations of the future system would ideally be fully autonomous. First responders would only need to be utilized when medical assistance is needed. The world is a beautiful place with various outdoor recreational activities. With these beautiful views come unpredictable obstacles that sometimes end in disaster. Unmanned systems such as Aerial, Navex, Titan, and Jackal will help bridge the gap between current human knowledge of the environment and the unpredictableness of nature, in turn saving lives of adventurers caught in not-so-pleasant situations and rescuers who attempt to save people but come up short. This concludes my presentation. Thank you for your time.